My name is Maria Downey, and I'm the Code Enforcement Foreman for the City of Waterloo. The Code Enforcement Department is responsible for property maintenance. Our job is to ensure that properties are free and clear of junk, garbage, parking in the yard, unlicensed vehicles, accessory structures such as fences, garages, sheds, anything exterior for the property. We also assist in traffic calls such as, and I don't mean traffic calls such as what PD does, but as like far as vehicles not being moved, unlicensed vehicles in the street, picking up bikes. We assist with illegal dumping throughout Waterloo. So we have a large variety of different things that we do for the public. Usually we are on a call-by-call basis. We do try to do things proactively. However, this year we've already responded to over 4,000 calls just from the public alone. And so I know that sometimes the public seems to think that code enforcement drives by things or code enforcement is not actually out there doing what we're supposed to be doing. But all in essence, when we get a call from the public, we go and we investigate. We photograph like everything. And we have a spreadsheet that logs all of our calls. Okay, that way we keep track and we take the calls in order in which they, come in. Unless something really needs our attention, we go by how they're called in every day. So let's say I was called to your property for a couch in the front yard. So I will go, if you have a couch in the front yard, obviously I'm going to try to make contact with you. If you are not at home, then we post a notice to your property, but we also send something by regular mail. Most of our notices are 10-day notices from the time that we're actually able to get there. And our job is to get people into compliance. Our job is not to give somebody a 10-day notice, and if they're not in compliance, just go back and start issuing citations. Our job is to work with the public, educate the public. You would be surprised at how many people do not really know all of the city ordinances, and that is our job to make sure that they understand what exactly the city is wanting for them to do. I will post a notice for 10 days. I will go back on like the 11th or 12th day. If they comply, the case is closed. If they don't comply, then either I try to make contact with the owner for some type of extension. Maybe there's a litigating circumstance on why they couldn't have it done. Sometimes when we give notices, people do have things scheduled or people to come pick stuff up, and then they forget to call our office. So to try not to issue a citation that might not be warranted, we do try to make another contact with that owner. So once we go for the reinspection and let's say a citation is issued, we have to go back to that same property on the day of arraignment. Then if they plead not guilty, we have to go back to that same property on the day of the trial. We have to go back to that same property on any court order. So we might visit a property numerous times before the whole process is actually complete.
Okay.
So in the process, when a citizen does not comply with a notice that has been given, a citation is issued. Those citations are basically just like any other traffic citation. You have an arraignment date. Usually our arraignment dates are 2 to 3 weeks out, depending. So depending on who the property owner is or who it is that we're actually issuing the ticket to. If it is somebody out of state, we have to allow for the mailing of a citation, so therefore that arraignment may be a little bit more than just the 2 weeks out. Now, just like any other citation, citizens do have the right to plead guilty or not guilty to a citation. Now, if they plead not guilty to a ticket, then that matter is set for trial. City trials are only held on Mondays at 1:30 and Thursdays at 1:30. Those are the only time slots for all city trials, not just code enforcement. It would be for anything that building would issue, anything that the rental inspector would issue, any type of traffic tickets that would have the city attorney try those trials. So when those slots get full, those slots have to be moved forward to the next week. Right now, our trials are scheduling in March, which is a good 90 days out. So what happens is if a citizen pleads not guilty to the ticket, and let's say I issued you a citation for a couch and a bunch of garbage that you have laying alongside your property, once those tickets are issued and you plead not guilty, there is nothing that I can do or my department can do to clean up that property until that actual court date. So that stuff, whatever violation was there, that is going to remain there until March, until they actually end up in trial. Once we go to trial, if they are found guilty for the violation that they've been issued a citation for, the courts usually grant anywhere from 10 to 30 extra days for that property owner to be able to clean up that property. When they don't comply with the court order, then what code enforcement does is we go back and we make sure whether or not they have complied. If they have not complied, we end up referring that out to the sanitation department for cleanup. In sanitation department, they're the ones that schedule those cleanups. So once we have referred that out to them, then we wait for that department to be able to schedule for the cleanups. So it is a very, very lengthy process, and it's important that the public understands that it's not so much that, as we get phone calls about how we have driven by something, and chances are we have probably already given notice for that, but it is, it's either a notice that is open, a notice that is set for trial, and so our hands, that's where we're at with that. I always put in a bulk item pickup sheet, which is something that the City of Waterloo provides. It is a very inexpensive way to get rid of items on your property that you need to do, especially if you don't have a truck, or you don't have any other means. If you only had a few items to get rid of, the 10 items for $10 is more feasible than it would be if you loaded it up in a pickup and took it all the way out to the landfill, because by the time you do your time and gas, you could have just set it out to the curb the day of your garbage day. So that is always like an option. Community development, for instance, for people with, problems with roofs and problems with things that exteriorly that they financially cannot afford. We do try to refer as many people to community development as possible. We have even, I know for me, for somebody that doesn't even have transportation, I have dropped off applications to people so that they are able to try to apply for the assistance. And, and then we wait to hear back from community development on whether or not they have been qualified. And if they've been qualified to do so, then when community development has time for that specific project, we extend those notices out, obviously, to allow for that time to happen. Okay. I do not like to extend anything out past 30 days. Given the fact that, you have been giving, we give the public some tools, the bulk item pickups, for instance, or if it is something that they're having scheduled, or a dumpster has to be, they have a dumpster ordered, for instance, and it's going to take a week or two for the dumpster to get there. A lot of our citizens, some of them are on a limited income. So a lot of times they will ask us for an extension until they end up getting their check in. And so that they're able to get a dumpster, or they're able to pay for somebody to come and get it. There are all sorts of different reasons, deaths in the family, accidents, illnesses. Nobody's life is perfect. Our objective is to get people into compliance. Our first offense ticket is $200. Our second offense ticket is a $500 ticket. Our third offense ticket is $750. I have 2 full-time officers, a part-time officer, and I am a working foreman. So when you look at the City of Waterloo, it's approximately 63 square miles, give or take a little bit. And so when you divide our city into 3, it basically gives us between 20, 22 square miles per officer. So that is a lot of ground to cover for one person. We do the best that we can with what we have. And I think that we do a good job with the staff that we have. So let's say you call in a call on Wednesday, and depending on the amount of calls that I have in my ward, I may not get to that call till Friday, or I may not get to that call till Monday. So therefore, you're already 5 days in, okay? Once that notice is issued, then you're looking at a minimum, minus if it's grass or snow, you're looking at a minimum of 10 to 12 days. When they don't come into compliance and a citation is issued, then you're looking at least another 2.5, 3 weeks before their arraignment date. Then if they plead not guilty to that ticket, our trials are 90 days out. Yeah. So you could be looking at a property for, 4 months. Once the courts find that person guilty, if they find that person guilty and they are given a court order, the courts give anywhere from 10 to 30 days, depending on the situation, on top of all the time that they've had to be able to clean up that property. And then the scheduling of the cleanup. So with the 657A process, we all sit on a panel. And so what code enforcement is asked to do at those meetings is to bring forth, because we're the ones out in our wards, is to bring forth dilapidated houses, vacant houses, houses that are in need of help or in need of demolition. We provide a list to in the meeting. We usually provide a list to planning and zoning to take a look at, the city attorney also to take a look at. Once it is a city-owned property, our involvement with those properties are very minimal. Once the city obtains a property, code enforcement, the only thing that we do is we try to keep those properties secure. Now, when we say secure, we only secure the lower level of properties. We never secure the upper half, only the lower half. So we do our best to keep those properties secure. We do our best for any type of illegal dumping. But when it comes to snow removal or grass removal or hazardous trees or the exterior parts of the property, once the city has obtained those properties, that responsibility falls upon planning and zoning.